Good afternoon. This is Universal News Media. Today is March 23rd, 2018. Today we will be viewing images from unedited photos obtained over the past couple days from the Federal Aviation weather cams scattered across Alaska and Canada. All videos are in time-lapse mode, with each frame equal to 10 minutes. On March 19th, the southwest-facing weather cam in Port Lions, Alaska, picked up a very faint image of something enormous and tan-colored on the right side of the screen, partially set over the horizon as the sun begins to descend for the evening. It's nearly transparent from the atmospheric chemicals, but look closely because it is there. Then on March 4th, the south-facing weather cam at Hoonah, Alaska, captured this same object on a rare uncloudy day. It is so massive that neither the top nor the bottom of this object can fit into the camera screen. We had an even sharper view of this the very next day on another rare cloudy day in Hoonah, Alaska. For Earth to not be in an upheaval, it must still be many millions of miles away. This mammoth object sets next to the left of our sun, causing very pinkish red skies on those nights in the lower 48 states where we are lucky enough to see a piece of the horizon through heavy chemtrail cloud cover. As the sun moves westward, the sun simulator, explained in many previous videos, puts out an enormous amount of glare in an attempt to engulf this huge object in glare, rendering it non-viewable. This glare engulfing feature is what causes our sun to have the appearance of changing sizes dramatically throughout the day. Viewers may recall that the other day we saw the sun about 30 times its normal size from the south-facing weather cam in Kipnuk, Alaska. This same gigantic tan-colored planet that we see every morning, clouds permitting, from the southwest-facing camera at the military base in Elmendorf-Richardson, Alaska. There is a third object on the right edge of the screen. Remember this, because we will see that again later. The sun appears to take on a contorted shape as the sun simulator engulfs this object in glare to make it non-viewable. Clouds permitting, we see this same huge object rising next to the sun every morning from the southeast-facing weather cam located in Cheakamus Canyon, British Columbia in Canada. Our real sun is the smaller light on the left, and the gigantic tan orb, now highly illuminated by the sun simulator, is on the right. The concealment jet, explained in detail in our March 21st video, maintains perfect alignment with the center of the sun simulator and the eclipsing planet, sending signals to the sun simulator regarding the various types of concealment, be it glare engulfing, blurring, or shadowing. Odd-shaped reflections of this concealment jet are visible near the bottom of the screen. In the last frame, we see the blurring mechanism applied. Eventually, this gigantic object becomes blurred and then fades away into the transparency of the atmospheric chemicals. On the southwest-facing camera in Skagway, Alaska, we see the late afternoon sun getting low and approaching these same two objects again that we saw from the military base and the Hoonah, Alaska cameras. Soon they will be setting to the left and to the right of our sun, causing red and pink skies to the left and to the right of our sun. The sun simulator takes on a contorted shape in order to cover the closest object in glare, and we see the odd-shaped reflections of the concealment jet swing across the screen. The south-facing weather cam in Talkeetna, Alaska, shows another eclipse with a large planet full of craters. Notice the airplane-shaped reflection of the concealment jet, which aligns itself with the eclipsing planet and the black center of the sun simulator for optimum concealment. This planet has some very interesting craters and texture to it, which are really brought out with some contrast applied. From Old Harbor, Alaska, we see the black dot reflecting upon the water, proving that it is not a camera issue, but an actual piece of equipment. From the weather cam in Taslina, Tulsona, we see the concealment jet in action again, closely following a transparent planet, barely even visible with contrast applied to it. Reflections of this jet swing across the lower part of the screen as the sun approaches the planet in preparation for an eclipse. Notice how the reflections of the jet equipment line themselves up with the eclipsing planet and the center of the sun simulator. These objects are part of an approaching celestial system. Many people ask when the system will make its closest pass to our Earth. A general indication of time is provided in the following screens of text. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Good afternoon. This is Universal News Media. Today is March 28th, 2018. Today we will be viewing images from unedited photos obtained yesterday from the Federal Aviation weather cams in Alaska and Canada. All videos are in time-lapse mode with each frame equal to 10 minutes. Our first video came from the east-facing weather cam located in Chandler Shelf, Alaska. It shows a white sun with a yellow perimeter. Most people have noticed that our sun is no longer yellow, it's white. The yellow rim that you see is our actual sun. The white center is an artificial light installed about 20,000 miles from the Earth. Its glare radiates outward from a tiny but incredibly intense light source that NASA patented years ago with the U.S. Patent Office. NASA named it Sun Simulator in their patent. It tracks in perfect synchronization with the sun. Planets pass in front of the real sun, but behind the sun simulator, so that it's not obvious an eclipse is occurring, just as in this video from the weather cam in Wainwright, Alaska. The black dot in the center of the sun simulator is an actual piece of equipment and casts a reflection upon the water as seen in this image from the Myers-Chuck, Alaska weather cam. In this video from Burwash in the Yukon Territory of Canada, the real sun is not visible because it is behind the helium-4 gas cloud, which is only visible to some far north areas. Our March 23rd video shows this gas cloud in great detail. When the sun simulator passes behind a small object, it completely disappears. This could never happen to our real sun. In this video from Drumheller, Alberta in Canada, the same thing happens. The sun simulator disappears behind a tiny street light. Again, this could not be our real sun. In this video from Prince Rupert, British Columbia in Canada, the sun simulator disappears behind a small bird feeder post. Ignore the vertical line through the sun. That's a glare line that many of the Canadian weather cams have. In this video from the southwest-facing weather cam in Kenai, Alaska, we see some objects in the upper left corner of the screen which are very transparent from the atmospheric chemicals. They have an amazing amount of texture, which suggests that they are planets. Since they are oval instead of round, their shape is most likely being skewed from the lens array installed around the sun simulator. We will see some detailed reflections of those lenses in a minute. Some contrast has been added to these images for better viewing. When these frames are played in sequence, it is obvious that they are rotating. A special concealment jet accompanies every eclipse, as viewed here on the southeast-facing weather cam in Knob Ridge, Alaska. This jet causes very colorful and odd-shaped reflections on thousands of these FAA images, such as we see here. The jet always follows the eclipsing planet, which is successfully hidden by the transparency of the atmospheric chemicals here in this image. The southwest-facing weather cam in Lake Clark Pass, East, Alaska, shows a red, fast-rotating planet with an enormous gaping crater. This planet is somewhat transparent in the atmospheric chemicals, but some contrast brings out the image much better. The yawning crater does make it very easy to see how fast this planet is rotating. In this video from the south-facing weather cam in Northway, Alaska, it is easy to tell that an eclipse is occurring because for 5 frames everything turns to a dark green on a perfectly cloudless afternoon. This means that the eclipse took just under an hour to complete. Here is the highly textured, fast-rotating red planet we see frequently, viewed from the west-facing weather cam in Chokyitsic, Alaska. The concealment jet is not visible from this angle, but we see its colorful reflections swing across the bottom of the screen. The close-up gives viewers a better look at the red planet. This video from Chilkat, Alaska, shows some effects of the lenses installed around the sun simulator. For the first few frames, we see the red planet again. Then we see a much larger planet in the upper left corner, which has been blurred by the sun simulator, and it's also somewhat transparent from the atmospheric chemicals. In the next frame, both objects disappear. 20 minutes later, both objects reappear. This happened because of the lens array. The southwest-facing weather cam in Good News Bay, Alaska, captured an interesting reflection of the lenses in the sun simulator. We see these same identical reflections in many of the weather cams. From the southwest-facing weather cam in Hawk Inlet, Alaska, it looks like the sun is setting behind the mountain. That is not the sun. It's a different celestial object setting behind the mountain. Look at the timestamp. It's 5:15. 20 minutes later, at 5:06, the real sun emerges from behind the clouds, and it will be setting very soon. The west-facing weather cam in Heidelberg, Alaska, shows the sun still up just enough to cast its reflection upon the water. However, there is a red sunset to the right of where another celestial object has already set. We see the same thing on the Klawak, Alaska camera. The sun is setting over to the left, but a pink sunset has already occurred to the right. And the same thing again from Myers Chuck, Alaska weather cam. The sun is setting close to the middle of this picture, but there is already a red sunset to the right where something else has already set. And once again we see the same thing from the southwest-facing weather cam in Nenana, Alaska, only this object is directly under the sun. Notice the pink sunset under the sun. As the frames move forward, the glow of the unknown object shines between the chemical clouds and the tree horizon. The sun is actually above this orange glowing object, well hidden behind the opaque wall of chemically induced clouds. These objects are part of an approaching celestial system. Many people ask when this system will make its closest pass to our Earth. A general indication of time is provided in the following screens of text. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Good afternoon. This is Universal News Media. Today is June 8th, 2018. The images we will be viewing came in today from the FAA weather cams in Alaska. In the last video I made, many people noticed that a large percentage of the FAA images were being deleted from the weather cams before the public could view them. Today, the weather cam images seem to be back to normal again. Our first video comes from the southeast-facing weather cam located in Uranus Bay, Alaska. The sky is a milky whitish blue color because of the atmospheric chemicals, and those are to hide the large celestial orb in this picture. When contrast is applied to the picture, the planet comes into view better. As the morning progresses, the red planet that we see often enters the picture. I hope that no one embarrasses themselves by commenting that this is a lens flare. We know this is not a lens flare because it is traveling independently of the sun. The sun is moving faster than the red planet. In a few frames, we see both orbs at the same time. The morning sun in Yakutat, Alaska, changed sizes dramatically as it made its way across the sky. This is very abnormal for the sun to be doing this. Years ago, our sun never changed sizes like this. The southeast-facing weather cam in Port Lions, Alaska, captured a red planet rolling across the sky. The craters in this red planet are well defined, enough to be able to roughly count the rotations per hour. It is obvious that this planet is rotating faster than the Earth, and definitely much faster than the Sun. Again, I hope that no one embarrasses themselves by commenting that this is a lens flare. Junior high science tells us that this is absolutely impossible to be a lens flare, because a lens flare cannot display more rotations than the object that is causing the lens flare. Additionally, this planet is moving independently of the sun. When a camera is stationary, the sun's lens flare must follow the sun. The northeast-facing weather cam in Old Harbor, Alaska, shows NASA's equipment in front of the sun. We've discussed this in many previous videos. Here it appears as a black dot, which casts a reflection upon the water's surface. This reflection is seen by anyone with or without a camera, proving that the black dot is an actual piece of equipment and not a lighting issue in the camera. Here is an interesting video from the east-facing camera in Nelson Lagoon, Alaska. Each frame in this time-lapse is 10 minutes, as is the case with all of these pictures. There are no frames missing. The video begins just before 7 a.m. and covers exactly 1.5 hours of time. Watch how the sky and landscape dramatically change from nighttime to daytime and back in 10-minute intervals. Something is definitely not right here. This never happened years ago. I wanted to see if the same phenomenon was occurring at another camera close by. But as you can see by the lone yellow dot on this map, there is no other camera nearby to compare with. I'll check tomorrow morning again and see if I see the same thing happening. The northeast-facing weather cam in Chignik Lagoon, Alaska, captured a red planet traveling through the sky. A close-up shows the interesting crater formations on its surface. It's easy to see a cluster of craters moving as the planet rotates. I hate to state the obvious, but once again, junior high science tells us this cannot be a lens flare because it has obvious craters, is rotating much faster than both the Earth and the Sun, and is traveling independently of the Sun. The east-facing weather cam in Uranus Bay shows the sun flashing early in the morning, starting at 4:11 a.m. After flashing for about 4 hours, the sun finally appears over the mountain, with extremely odd-shaped reflections swinging across the screen near the bottom. We've discussed these odd-shaped reflections in many previous videos. They appear during an eclipse. In just a few frames, we'll see what is eclipsing the sun. There is our striped planet again, that we've seen many times before. A close-up provides a better view. Some contrast is added here to bring out the details better. And when contrast is applied only to the area of the planet, look how good it comes out. I've had several people comment that it looks edited and pasted. I can guarantee you that no editing was done on this picture except adding the contrast. As a matter of fact, more than one laboratory has taken some of my video and had them forensically analyzed, and they have found that they're completely legitimate with no editing except where I say that I've added contrast. The objects that we've just seen, the celestial objects, are part of an approaching celestial system. Many people ask when the system will be making its closest pass to our Earth. A general indication of time is provided in the following screens of text. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Good afternoon. This is Universal News Media. Today is March 25th, 2018. Today we will be viewing images from unedited photos obtained yesterday from the Federal Aviation Weather Cams in Alaska. All videos are in time-lapse mode with each frame equal to 10 minutes. Our first video is a solar eclipse viewed from the east-facing weather cam in Barrow, Alaska. Notice the reflections on the right of the concealment jet equipment. We'll see the actual jet in just a moment. As reflections of the jet swing across the screen, the jet comes into view. It's the tiny white dot between the colorful reflections and the sun. The jet stays right by the transparent planet that has just eclipsed the sun, sending signals to the sun simulator. To learn more about the sun simulator, watch our video from yesterday, March 24th. This planet is so transparent from the atmospheric chemicals that it's difficult to see even with contrast applied to it. The same thing is happening in this video, viewed from the southeast-facing weather cam in Bettles, Alaska. We see the colorful reflections of the jet. The tiny white dot between the sun and the colorful reflections is the concealment jet. I don't know if this jet is manned or if it is more like a drone. The eclipsing planet passes in front of our sun, but behind the sun simulator, so that it's not obvious an eclipse is occurring. Again, contrast shows the planet, which has been made nearly transparent in the atmospheric chemicals. The west-facing weather cam in Chokyitsick, Alaska, captured this rolling, crater-pocked red planet that we see so often. The sun simulator emits a black positioning indicator beam to the concealment jet in preparation for the eclipse. The airplane-shaped reflection of the jet appears from the right side of the screen. The close-up provides a better view of the detail of this red planet. Our last video shows a gigantic rock, an asteroid, tumbling through space, frighteningly close to the Earth, which appeared to be a very close near miss. This is being viewed from the Elmendorf-Richardson Joint Military Base in Alaska. I'll play it through just as it came off the weather cam, and then I'll play it again with some arrows pointing to the rock in each frame. You can see this enormous rock tumbling and rolling as it goes by. It actually looks like it goes right through the sun. Here's another view with arrows pointing to the rock, so it's easier to track. I wonder how close it came to our sun simulator. The rock tumbles behind the sun simulator, but in front of our sun. And here's a close-up view with arrows. I don't recall hearing anything about this on the news, since they always seem to know when these things are coming by. I was surprised that we didn't hear anything. And the last group of images here is a close-up with some contrast applied. These objects are part of an approaching celestial system. Many people ask when the system will make its closest pass to our Earth. A general indication of time is provided in the following screens of text. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Good afternoon. This is Universal News Media. Today is May 30th, 2018. Over the past 48 hours, this channel was bombarded with vulgar, profane, negative comments, all originating from 2 different offshore call centers. I'm proud to know that I have hit a governmental nerve in order to prompt the hiring of call centers to bombard my channel with bad comments. It's truly amusing. Don't bother looking for them, because I'm able to block them as quickly as they appear. Our first video comes from the southeast-facing weather cam in Cheakamus Canyon, British Columbia in Canada. It starts out with the moon looking like a comet with a tail. I'm not sure why. The tail then separates from the comet and it fades away. Daybreak comes and the sun appears to be flashing. Notice the landscape going from bright to dark as the sun flashes. The sun appears in the upper left corner briefly, with prism-colored rings, odd-shaped objects, and reflections. Just as the sun reaches the top of the screen, it develops a sun halo. Notice the size of the halo in this frame, because in the next few frames we're going to see another sun halo 6 to 7 times larger. Now, 30 minutes of images were just removed from this section. So now we can only see the bottom of this enormous halo. The east-facing weather cam in Angoon, Alaska, shows something rising just above the horizon on the left. It casts its reflection upon the water. It may be interesting to realize that the sun is not in this image, because the sun is rising in the northeast in Alaska, not in the east. And this camera is facing east. As we go through the video, look at the timestamp. Nearly 2.5 hours later, the sun appears from the north on the left side of the screen. The object we saw rising 2.5 hours ago was not the sun. It was something else. Here is the northeast weather cam in Angoon. The sun is rising near the center, and off to the right is the other celestial object we just saw rising in the last camera footage we looked at. If the clouds weren't so thick, we would see another celestial object rising to the left of the sun. The northeast-facing weather cam captured a black indicator being emitted for an eclipse. These eclipses occur multiple times daily. Here's a common reflection that we see throughout Alaska and Canada, clouds permitting, of course. Notice the sun's reflection on the water. It's often in two different pieces. One is the sun, and the other is NASA's tiny but intense artificial light launched many miles from the Earth's surface, which tracks in sync with the sun. You can see the black center of that equipment easily in this image, but the black center is not always visible. This photo from the southwest-facing camera in Myers Chuck, Alaska, shows that black center of NASA's artificial light, and it's casting a reflection on the water. This reflection can be seen by anyone with or without a camera. The northeast-facing weather cam in Eagle, Alaska, picked up a very large, round object. Both the glare and the atmospheric chemicals make it very difficult to see. Look closely and you can see NASA's artificial light pass over it. This object passes in front of our sun but behind NASA's artificial light, so that it's not obvious an eclipse is occurring. Since the object doesn't move, it could be one of NASA's large lenses. Here's a close-up of those frames. And here's a close-up with some contrast applied. Here is another enormous object. However, this one is moving with the sun, but not as fast as the sun, as you can see over the course of 40 minutes in this time-lapse video. Here's a close-up view of those 4 frames. And here are those 4 frames with contrast applied to the celestial object. The contrast works much better if sun and clouds are not included in the contrast. That's why I often apply the contrast to a small area of the screen. It really works much better that way. The southeast-facing weather cam located in Kotzebue captured the red planet that we frequently see. This red planet has a much faster rotation than our Earth or Sun. You must have an IQ of at least 75 to understand why this cannot be a lens flare. It is impossible for a lens flare to reflect faster rotations than the object creating the lens flare. Additionally, in the last frame of this video, clouds moved in and covered up the planet. If this were a lens flare, clouds could not cover it up because the lens flare is in the camera and not behind the clouds. Here's an interesting video from the east-facing weather cam in Kotzebue, Alaska. As the sun moves across the sky, the atmospheric chemicals have created somewhat of a veil appearance. It almost looks as if someone has whitewashed the sky around the perimeter of the sun or taken some paint or something. After a few frames, the red planet comes into view. It's very difficult to see amidst the atmospheric chemicals, but some contrast here helps to bring it into view. The objects we have just viewed are part of an approaching celestial system. Many people ask when the system will make its closest pass to our Earth. A general indication of time is provided in the following screens of text. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe.